What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Anime J back with another video for you, and I am happy and proud to announce your boy has reached the milestone of episode 200, and with that milestone means it's time for Anime J's top 3 moments in episodes 100 through 200. Getting right into the list, number 3 is my boy Asapo, who has become a mad scientist for the Straw Hats, coming up with all kind of unconventional weapons and gadgets that they can use to help get them out of sticky situations. He's had quite a few that are worth mentioning, but the most successful and most impactful one that I felt, especially for episodes 1 through 200, had to be You heard it, folks. In true Tarzan-like fashion, Asapo's new weapon is inspired by the wild man himself. And of course, like many gadgets that Asapo has, it's not perfect, it's, has its kinks, but it's very useful. And in episodes 1 through 200, I believe that it's one of the biggest steps forward that we see in Asapo's character development in regards to being useful to the Straw Hats. Asapo used his new weapon to help them track their vehicle when they were fighting the priests, which was essential to them escaping. As we can see here, it helped him and Sanji reach Maxim Arc when they were attempting to save Nami from the paws of Inaru. Lastly, Asapo used his new gadget to save his own tail, along with Sanji. After the fight with Inaru, things didn't go too well for Sanji, so Asapo was the only one able to help him escape. He jumped, unaware that he still had his gadget attached to him. Luckily he did. This made the difference between them falling into the bushes or them falling into the safety of the clouds and continuing safely with the rest of the voyage. Moving along in our list of the top 3 moments in episodes 100 through 200, number 2 was the introduction of Dals. Dals was a huge part of the Skypiea arc. It not only was innovative and interesting, it changed fighting completely, making the Straw Hats vulnerable to attacks when usually the Mighty Three, Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, handled things with ease. What are Dals, you ask? Good question. Dals are seashells in Skypiea that hold energy and matter. By pressing the apex of the shell, you can release that matter. It can be different things: fire, wind, water, light, and this makes for an endless combination of usefulness and resourcefulness. Also makes them very dangerous, depending on how they're being used. As a visual person myself, I figured the easiest way to break down the Dals is to quickly go through each one that we were introduced to in a slideshow with brief details on each one and what they do, starting with the Axe Dal. This is a slicing attack shell used in combat. Next up, we have the Ball Dal. This releases clouds in the form of a bubble strong enough for you to sit on. Our next Dal is called a Breath Dal. This can be used to propel boats and skates. It also can hold fumes and gases. Here we have an Eisen Dal, which is an iron shell. Combined with the sword, it gives the sword the option to take different forms with the strength of iron. By using a Flame Dal, which is placed in the bird's mouth, it can breathe fire just by breathing. This is a Heat Dal, in combination with the Jousting Lance, which makes it give off heat, makes it extremely dangerous. Here's an Impact Dal, used commonly by the priest. We know that on impact, it causes a lot of pain. This is the power of a Jet Dal, which makes the user extremely fast. Milky Dals are cloud shells, so when placed on your feet or placed in different places, they propel you almost like a jetpack. A Reject Dal is said to be the most powerful Dal there is. It's so powerful that the user dies after use. A tone dowel is a sound shell, so it can hold and mimic various sounds. And last but not least, we have a vision dowel, which is the equivalent of today's camera. With this much thought and input into dowels, I'm sure they'll play a role later in the series. Now, rounding out my top 3 moments in episodes 100 through 200 of One Piece, we have arrived at number 1, which had to be Luffy versus Inaru. Now, after seeing the fight, I do feel the build up to Inaru was more exciting than the actual fight, but it signified so many things that it still had to be number 1 on my list. The first reason why this is number 1 on my list, most of the Straw Hats took heavy damage in this arc. They had to overcome and work together not only with Skypians, but also with the Shandians to achieve the goal of defeating Inaru. Now, we all know teamwork makes the dream work, but this is putting it to play. Seeing them put their differences to the side to work together with other groups of people that have different opinions sounds like real life, and that's exactly why anime has become so popular over the years. Next reason this fight made the top of my list, we get to see that Luffy's Gomu Gomu no pistol is no joke. He used it on Inaru once, brought him to his knees, and then to finish the fight, he used it on him again, and man, that is one devastating attack. One of those attacks that you can tell that the makers are really trying to harp on and make sure that we understand that when he brings that attack out, he means business. And speaking of business, Luffy handles business, ringing the Belfry Bell, knocking out of the sky, which signifies the end of a 400-year war between the Shandians and Skypians in an attempt to get their homeland back. Not only does this signify the end of the war, this signifies the end of the Straw Hats' time on Sky Island, as well as the end of the arc. The Straw Hats escape with gold, dials, and a timeless story to tell. And what I can tell you now is that I begin my climb to episode 300. Go and leave a comment on when you think I will reach episode 300. I'm still looking for predictions on when you think I will finish the series as well. Until then, please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.